Why can't I let this guilt go? You know, it's a question I hear a lot, and I've talked to a lot of you about your own guilt. And so, if you are one of the people who has reached out to me or posted a comment on some of these videos and said, you know what, I just can't let this guilt go, well, then this video is for you. And in this video, we're going to do three things. One, we're going to talk about what makes you feel guilty. We're going to talk about the difference between guilt and shame, because oftentimes if you can't let your shame go or let your guilt go, it's because there's some shame there. And then three, I'm going to give you advice again about what can you do if you have trouble letting go, and what are the exact actions that you can take. So let's dive right in. Well, first of all, the first question was what makes you feel guilty? So before you can let your guilt go, you need to understand what it is that makes you guilty. So I need you to take some time and really dive in, because it's easy just to get caught up and say, well, I don't know, I just have this awful guilty feeling in the pit of my stomach and I just keep saying I feel guilty. So you have to name what you feel guilty is. Are you a son or a daughter who feels like you didn't step up when you needed to? Do you feel like you should have done more and you didn't do enough? Were there times when you've lost a son or daughter and you as their parent maybe didn't feel like you did as much as you could have done or should have done? Are you having trouble because moving and cleaning out the things from your spouse somehow makes you think that you're moving on and forgetting about them? Or is it just finding a way to move on after your spouse has died? Is it trying to get pregnant again after you've lost or miscarried a baby? All of these things tend to generate guilt, and I say over and over again, guilt is a normal part of the grief process. So the first thing that I want you to do is name your guilt, and I'm going to ask you to, if you know what you're guilty about, and you feel willing, put those in the comments, because we're going to talk about later, that's actually going to help you too. So what makes you feel guilty? That's the first thing that you need to know. And then secondly is we need to dive into guilt and shame, because you need to be able to identify, is it guilt that you're feeling, the normal emotion or guilt, or has it somehow progressed, and is it more like shame? And here's the difference. And again, this is all from the teachings of Brene Brown, who you all know I follow and adore, and one day hope to meet. That's a dream of mine for sure. But when she defines guilt and shame, she defines guilt as you feel guilty when you said, I did something bad. I either did something I shouldn't have done, or I failed to do something. And so what I did or did not do was bad. Shame is I am bad, is that inherently I am a bad, unworthy person. And the two can get intertwined, I think, when we're going through the grief process, because of the intensity of the guilt that we feel. And again, I think we feel so guilty because we loved our loved ones so much, that we feel so bad if there's something we feel like we didn't do or something that we should have done. And that guilt can weigh heavy on our hearts. And so sometimes what happens with guilt and shame is you need someone to blame. And if you can't find anyone in your environment to blame, then we tend to blame ourselves. We tend to punish ourselves. And when you start to punish yourself too much, and you do it over and over again, guilt turns into shame, and you start thinking that I'm a bad person, I'm a bad daughter, I'm a bad, son, I'm a bad mother. And when you say those things, when you say I am bad, that's really, really destructive. So I want you to think about it and ask yourself, do I just feel guilty? Is this normal guilt? Or if it's because you cannot let this guilt go, is it because you're feeling shame? Do you inherently believe that you are a bad person because of what did or didn't happen? And again, we get these mixed up when it comes to grief. And then thirdly, well, what can you do? What can you do if you realize, yeah, I'm having like some pretty intense stuff and I've been beating myself up. And I know what that's like because, I've done it myself. I tend to punish myself, and look within and say, I'm bad. And I don't think any of us are inherently bad, but this is what we do to ourselves. And so one of the other things that Brene Brown teaches is that shame cannot live when it's spoken. So what happens is if we're feeling guilt, intense guilt, if you're feeling shame, what happens is we internalize it and we don't speak about it because we feel so embarrassed and shameful about whatever it is we're holding on to. And so my question for you is have you, before watching this video, have you spoken your guilt? Have you told someone else in your environment that you feel guilty? Or on the other hand, have you bottled it up? Are you having the thoughts like, oh my God, no, I would never say what I feel guilty about because it's just too embarrassing. I'm too ashamed. It's good to know that too. And so the way to survive this and the way to let your guilt or your shame go is to speak it. And so if you cannot or do not feel able to speak about it with someone around you, I want to give you a place. I want to give you a safe place, and I want to encourage you to share it. And you can share it directly with me, and you can know that I will treasure it. I will keep it to myself. This is something I take very, very seriously. But one of the things that I do here is give you a place to go. And so you can email me at griefeinspired@gmail.com. If you don't want to put it in writing, you send me an email and you say, we need to talk. And we can talk, we can talk one-on-one about what's going on and why you feel like you cannot let this guilt go. Because I'm here to tell you, you have to find a way to let go of this guilt. Your loved one wouldn't want you to suffer. It's not healthy to be punishing ourselves. That can turn into some really nasty things too. So I'd rather just handle it with you now and, let's talk about it. Shame needs to be spoken. And so I'm going to give you that platform. I'm going to give you the place to come to me one-on-one and share what's going on so that you can let your guilt go. I want to help you let that guilt go because that's what you deserve. You don't deserve to beat yourself up. You don't deserve to feel ashamed. You don't deserve to feel unworthy. And so let's handle it now, you and I together. Reach out. I have had guilt calls in the past, so I'm doing monthly Zoom calls. If you want to be part of those monthly Zoom calls, let me know and I'll make sure that you can get in on those too. So it's just once a month we get together on a Zoom so that we can talk as a group, face to face, so to speak. So I hope that helps. Reach out to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And as always, you are not in this alone. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.